This is the Round Table, a talk show brought to you by the Glastonbury Goddess Conference. In this circle, the priestesses of the ceremonial circle, the weavers of our annual gathering, talk about pivotal topics about our community, spirituality, and goddess. Join us this year for the 29th Glastonbury Goddess Conference, a joyful gathering of goddess-loving people, a 6 days in-person event in Glastonbury, Avalon, running from Tuesday 30th July to Sunday 4th August 2024, with the fringe events starting from Sunday 28th July. This year the theme is the Goddess of Healing. It's our maiden year, the first year of a new 5-year cycle. International presenters, transformative workshops and experiences, deep ceremonies on the sacred land of Avalon, community, art, fun, and love for Goddess. Let your healing journey begin this year. Join us for the Glastonbury Goddess Conference, Goddess of Healing. There are so many options to participate: full conference tickets, weekend tickets, day tickets. Find what suits you best and get your ticket now at goddessconference.com. Good evening, beloved Goddess community. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We're here tonight with a full panel of fantastic ceremonialists from the ceremonial circle of the Glastonbury Goddess Conference. And before we get started, I would love to introduce you to today's topic, which is loving nature from afar. The questions we're going to work with today are: how is ecological activism pivotal to the contemporary spiritualist? And can there be a nuanced approach? So can we overcome that sense of guilt we carry as spiritualists and mystics towards the environmental activism? And also, how do we develop better sustainable ecological practices that resonate and allow people to feel welcome to the path from a spiritual approach? To discuss all these pretty important questions for us today, we have 𝙈𝙎𝙎𝙬𝙬.
Hi everyone.
Mariam Brigantia.
Hello.
Sadhu Valakilias.
Hello.
I always hope I get your surname correct. Valakilias, is it correct, Sadhu?
Yes, that's great.
Perfect, thank you. And Donna Gerard.
Hello.
Thank you to our panelists today here, and I'd love to remember you as well that they will be pivotal part of the upcoming Goddess Conference. Please book your tickets at goddessconference.com. It's going to be a fantastic, amazing event. This topic and more topics will be discussed over, dealt with in workshops. Healing will come. Let your healing journey begin. And let also start with this topic. Angie, would you start with this topic? Where would you start from tackling this one?
I'm going to jump straight in and talk about the bigger picture, the holistic overview. And the whole concept of how many of us thought, or maybe still think, that we are separate. We're separate from each other, we're separate from nature, we're separate from Gaia, Mother Earth, when we're not. And the health really of all beings, plants, animals, bees, people, is all intrinsically linked. So this whole matrix, this whole overlay, this whole labyrinth of people and all of those things I've mentioned have to be considered in the holistic overview of it all. So it's not separate. It's not my health or the health of how the bees are or how the plants are growing. It's everything is so connected, and they're proving this more and more. Not that we need it proven, we know from a mystical level, of course, we're all connected. It's how can we actively incorporate that deeper connection with everything in our lives. So that's where I'm starting, the bigger picture.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in on that one actually. One of my teachers said to me probably 20 years ago, what if we didn't think about ourselves as being on the earth, but as thinking ourselves as being in the earth? If we think of the extent of the earth being the atmosphere, we're not on the earth, we're in the earth. And I think that begins to foster a fundamental change of the way we're thinking. It was like, as you say, Angie, we're not just separate little blobs on the planet. We're actually all integral parts of it. So for me, and as you say, that makes a fundamental shift to the way that I kind of am and the way that I practice, I think.
Yeah, I think what I always feel is that well, we work in our goddess spirituality. We work with a lot with nature. We work with the emphasis that the great goddess is Mother Earth, and but I come across, and you mentioned it, Andrea. You said how do we deal with the guilt? Because I personally, I completely subscribe to that idea of what you're saying, Angie, that, we're all part of it. We're all part of the earth, and we're in the earth, like Donna said, and we are not separate from the earth. And of course, that is a very important notion. And I think for a lot of people, that is a new notion. And I think we, as practitioner from the goddess tradition, we help bring that consciousness into the world. I think that is a big contribution that we do. But on a personal level, I often come across this feeling of guilt, like I should be doing more, actually, in an ecological matter. And how can I do more? And there sometimes are small things which have changed really in the time that I've been a priestess, like a very interesting example, for instance, that when I started walking and working with nature and doing ceremony in nature, we still use those plastic ribbons if we do prayer ribbons on the trees. And for a long time now, we are now using biodegradable, like wool or uncolored wool, to bind our prayers on the trees and let them fly with the wind. So I think there's small things, but I do feel sometimes quite powerless towards the bigger things. And yeah, as the Goddess Conference, we always try to bring in that activism, that eco-activism, to bring that up in consciousness. But still, on the personal level, I still feel, I could do more. I don't know how, but I could do more, I'm sure.
We could all do more. We could all do more. The thing is, nature is sacred. Nature is our church. Nature is our temple. Our original temples are out on her land. So how can we honor the land? How can we honor her waters against pollution, against exploitation? There's so much there, isn't there, that we can do to help. And I have to watch that place, not of guilt, but of dystopia. There's so much that is, we've done so much to Mother Earth, raped her crystals and all her gifts that she gives us. Mankind has exploited them. So I have to watch that place in me. So to have hope that the little things do make a difference. I think hang on to that.
Yeah, I really agree, Angie. I think that we, as you say, it's very easy to fall into that place of despair and thinking that nothing that I do will make any difference. But there are two fundamental things that we have to have as activists and to take out into the world, and that is, as you say, that is hope, but it's also courage. We have to be courageous, and even in the small things, like for me, it's just calling out the people who come to my house, come to my workshops in a loving way, to try and shift the amount of personal plastic we use. I mean, that's one of my missions, is please can we think about not buying plastic bottles of water? The water in my house is perfectly drinkable, it's beautiful. Please can we not bring plastic bottles here? And even if I just see that idea in just one person, I feel like, maybe I'm making some kind of impact. And try and hold that hope that it isn't all hopeless, as you say, because it is so easy to look around us and to get into that place and think, what's the point of doing anything? Because it's such a huge task that we have here. So we have to have courage that we can do something to shift it.
There are powerful movements all around the the international community. Like if you think about some presenters we also had at a conference like 𝙈𝙎𝙎𝙎𝙬𝙬, that incorporate massively the ecological activism part, and not only their speech but also the way they set up the whole spiritual architecture of their line of thought. And when you meet and when you do workshops, and there's so much part of that. You've been now in this community for a long time. You've worked along. So aside from the small things, how do you feel in the wider concept of goddess? Ecological activism impacted the way people perceive goddess and feel themselves relating to goddess and nature. Did it evolve? Did it change? Is it more grounded to the real nature thing? I mean, or is it like goddess is still one thing which is very mystical, and then you have nature, which is another separate thing that you may or may not jump into?
For this one, I feel like, for me, like Angie really started with the essence of this, this whole piece, which is non-separation. And this again comes back to that piece that ultimately we, in our spiritual practice, we're looking to foster connection. And in order to do that, we need to identify, acknowledge all of the places where we have separated ourselves, where we have removed ourselves from the environmental impact that we make in our lives. So the very nature of taking actions to come into connection brings us back to our body, brings us back to a relationship to the earth. And for me, this is such an important part. And it takes us to really bring our attention to the places where we have removed ourselves, to the places where we have chosen not to take accountability for some, or not to look at the impact of some of the actions that we take. And this is a massive part of spirituality, and I think for me this is intrinsic to it. I think if when we follow a path of connection to spirit in many different forms, it will bring us back to our connection to the earth. It's roots and wings. It's rooting and rising at the same time. It's these two parts that come together, and the more we spread our wings, the more we remember this platform which is holding us all.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think there's an important part that we can play as goddess people in the reconnecting of people with nature. And a big part of my work is that, and also in my trainings, but also in my tours. And it's a simple. I was just thinking back when you were talking about that connection a bit, Sadhu. That I don't know if you remember in 2021 in the 2022 in the assembly rooms, we had Indra coming in, who had done this big protest. I think it was against the train line, to hold this tree, and we all held the tree. And although the tree was not in the room, it was like we completely sent our roots into the earth, and we could really feel, and it was so emotional. And I think that kind of connection, which is very real, and for me is goddess. That love for nature, that love for everything that is alive, but it's tangible. It's not just something that is like, oh, we do this, blah blah blah. No, it's like when we made that circle around that tree, which was hundreds of miles away from the assembly rooms, we could feel it. And that connection, that interconnectivity, that what you were talking about, I think that is a very much part of our tradition. And for me, that is goddess. Really, that is goddess. And when people come to the training and they connect with nature, and that is, for me, that is goddess. That is not, oh, I connect with this little fly in my hand, or with the big tree in front of me, or with the little flower. For me, all of that is goddess. And it's not even that she has a different form. It's a life force that is in all of us, and that connects us all. And I think the consciousness of this, is something that needs to be returned, because I think that is the root of all the disrespect that human beings have had for Mother Nature. I don't know if you know there's a beautiful story of Susan Wheat that tells about how Goddess came to be, how she disappeared, and how she's returning. And it was the first story that I heard on my priestess training, and it's always stayed with me. I use it in my training as well, because it really tells that place of hope. What you talked about, Angie, is that it's not too late. It's not too late to remember. It's not too late to remember that she is the great mother. It's not too late if we all remember. And yeah, for me, that is really what we're doing in the goddess tradition.
I think also there's something about how do we keep that connection to goddess as nature. If you've got students or friends or family who aren't connected in that way, how can you reach out to them and show them? Obviously everyone's got their own spiritual experience or mystic experience, but even just going outside, and having that space and connecting to the earth. So it's our goddess practices. When we do them outside, personally, they're so much more powerful in connection, because she's there even more strongly. So I don't know how you feel about that, whether you agree.
Also, Angie, you are bringing here huge experience in the nature preservation, and also in that culture. I think we need to bring it into the conversation. The bee temple, the way you work with bees, and bees are such an integral part, very real part of nature. So how is it? That's really how is it for you to work with such a pivotal part of nature that it's sacred and very, very real at the same time? How is it?
It's very real because probably about 15 years ago, they were everywhere I looked, I had to take action. The bees are dying. So I think we are all different. We either take action, direct action, and do something, or we pray, we become devotional. It's not just stepping back. There's something about how can I have compassion for what I'm dealing with and become a guardian? And how can I honor the whole ecosystem, the biospheres, all these endangered species? We have got to have our own personal ethics and care and responsibility. So for me, it was and still is honouring the bees, listening to the bees, and why are they dying out? What is their message? Not what can I take from them? Of course, they've got their gifts, but like every being on earth, what are they trying to say? What can we learn from them? So that care and responsibility is really, really important, and it carries on. I've literally just come back from Portugal teaching, and I was shocked. Where I was, I didn't see any bees, I didn't see any butterflies.
Wow.
So I came back home on Exmoor today, and I just sat by my herb garden, and I could see the bees, see the butterflies. So there's certain areas where our creatures, our pollinators, are dying out. And are people concerned? No, not everyone. So it's education. It's education, making people aware of what's going on, I think, as well.
And
with
the
bigger
importance.
picture. Yeah, the bigger picture of it all.
And it's as well as the big picture. because the big picture can sometimes get us overwhelmed, can't it? You know, we just, as you say, Angie, we can just feel like there's nothing we can do because it's such a big problem. And so again, for me, it comes back to the small things. It comes back to, okay, I'm going to encourage my partner not to use weed killer on our land, you know, because that used to be his kind of go-to. It's like, oh, we got weeds, we need weed killer. It's like, no, we're going to make a stand. We're not going to do it here. And we're going to talk about the fact that we're not doing it here, you know, and we're going to notice that when the grass gets long and you cut it, all of a sudden the field mice come out. So it's noticing where you have little ecologies that you're looking after, you know, and encouraging other people to have that awareness. I think that's kind of my mission, is the kind of micro teachings, if you, I can't think of a better word, but the kind of micro teachings. It's like, can I inspire? Yeah, can I inspire one person to not use plastic? Can I inspire one person to not be spraying their patio with weed killer? You know,
and it's finding the alternatives. It's saying, rather than do that, do this. Or have you thought of this?
Yeah.
Also, because that is partly evolving as well. That is really interesting because it comes across differently from all your voices. And I think it circles back to that movie. I think we all seen that, where Julia Roberts is the voice of the earth. There's a beautiful movie. It's a short movie of 3 minutes. And she talks about being Mother Earth. And she talks about the earth. And she says, oh, it's beautiful. You need to look it up. Look it up, everyone. It's fantastic. It's a 3-minute thing, and it freezes your blood, the blood in your veins, and you're like, oh, wow. But the concept of it is that she goes like, I am the great mother. Wow. I have created everything. I have starved a species greater than you, and I have lived much, much longer than you. I was here before, and I will be here after you. So when you say that you are killing me, that you are afraid of me, or that you think you're killing me, that I'm dying, you need to understand that I'm ready to evolve. I have many forms. I can take new ones. Are you ready to evolve? And that still chills me out. I was looking at the video. I was like, I'm not ready to evolve right now. I mean, this fast. And the point is that these micro teachings, I think you put in, they might seem, to be let's say, non-new age or non-spiritual people, like irrelevant, but they're not, because they're also training and evolving a different way from the status quo, which is, I think, is pivotal. That is, for the amount of people we are on Earth, if every one of us would do such a small thing, that will make a massive impact. So in a way, is it evolving? So is it spiritual activism, getting out of the, let's say, of the gatekeeping and or you're fully vegan or you're banned? And is it going towards a more accepting environment where people are lovingly, as Donna said, brought to consider direction and, get into action even in small bits?
I still think there's a lot more we could do as communities together, have collective efforts. I know we're all busy doing our own thing and still conference and lots of other things, but what more can we do that we can unify ourselves as goddess loving people and do something collectively?
I think, I'm not even sure it's just goddess loving people, I think this, for us, it's like, I think that's the motivation, is also our love for Mother Earth and a love for Goddess. But what I see and what I find very hopeful is also, I think, through our, and I mean, this is not new, of course, you had it like with the feminist movement, a lot of consciousness has come from that, and then it ripples through in the future, and it still ripples out, and still a lot of things need to be done. But I think this is also with our eco awareness, is that our parents knew less than us. We know, and then our children, they are far more on it and far more, and when you have that combination of that spiritual side or philosophical side with the eco, I think that it's like that, it becomes like a wholeness. We talked about healing and wholeness. I think it is very much about, it's not one thing. it's the wholeness of life. And actually, it was a very good point that you made, Andrea. It's not so much for the survival of the earth; it's for the survival of the human race. Actually, I think the earth will survive. I don't think there's even a doubt about it. I mean, there can be disastrous things happening, but we might not survive. And I think that could be brought out more about, and then people, they might be more, see the importance of the wholeness of this journey.
I'd love to, if you do allow me a minute, it would be, I think, nice to the conversation to have that. So I have it ready here. If you
the
want
film, yes,
yes, it's very short. It's a minute, but I think it's worth it.
Some call me nature. Others call me Mother Nature. I've been here for over 4.5 billion years, 22,500 times longer than you. I don't really need people, but people need me. Yes, your future depends on me. When I thrive, you thrive. When I falter, you falter. Or worse. But I've been here for eons. I have fed species greater than you, and I have starved species greater than you. My oceans, my soil, my flowing streams, my forests, they all can take you or leave you. How you choose to live each day, whether you regard or disregard me, doesn't really matter to me. One way or the other. Your actions will determine your fate, not mine. I am nature. I will go on. I am prepared to evolve. Are you?
Yeah, wow. That is it's amazing, really. Yeah.
So a big piece for me that we're touching upon is this surrender to our interconnectivity, and for me this comes as kind of humble yourself before Mother Nature, or she will humble you. It's also our path to find this humility and awe in nature, or it will be done for us. And this is, for me, this is kind of this play of control and surrender, that if we don't surrender to our interconnectivity, if we continue to think that we can, to subscribe to this kind of mainstream culture of I can control everything and I can control my every action to have, exactly these consequences, and kind of like live in a kind of laboratory like circumstance, we are going to become blind to all that is happening around us, and why we live in our tiny controlled world. Human beings will become obsolete, will almost be kind of deleted. So it's for me, it's integral for us to surrender to our interconnectivity with Mother Earth, and that this it's just delusional, this idea that we can control everything and separate ourselves. And until we kind of are actively in each moment choosing to move in the other direction, I think this is the place of struggle and pain, and and challenge upon challenge for us over and over again as a species.
Yeah, and I think the spiritual side of this is so it can be so beautiful, because the interconnectivity that you talk about, Sadhu, that is a very ancient the Celtic people were very interconnectiveness was a huge part of their practice, of their spiritual practice, of their belief system, and so it's really about that remembering who we are in the wholeness of life, really. And I think that's very much I mean, I see it personally. I see it as something that I want to bring into awareness of people. This is in my teachings. This is in my tours. All that. And as I can, as much as I can, I practice it myself as well. And actually, also as a natural thing. I mean, we are part. The feeling that we are in the earth. We are part of life. We are not separate. I think that is the biggest teaching we can bring from the goddess spirituality.
And to really love the earth, really just love her as she loves us unconditionally. No matter what we seem to do to her, she still loves us. She doesn't kick us off or out. She's still there for us. So you just love her more.
I heard a really nice quote, and I hope I'm not misquoting him. It was from William Shatner. Captain Kirk. I think he took an actual space flight himself recently, and he's not getting any younger. And he said it's funny. I spent all those years, in Star Trek, talking about how we can find new worlds, and he said it was really just looking back at the Earth from space. He said, I realized we have to, as I say, I hope I'm not misquoting him, but he said, we have to look after this place because we don't have all those choices that we thought we had in Star Trek. This is the one that we have to look after. This is our home. So yeah, apologies to William Shatner if I'm misquoting him, but it was something like that. He said it was looking back at the Earth that he realized actually we don't have all those choices. We have to look after this one. So.
Yeah, and there's something about the spiritual side of being present there, because I know a lot of the practices can take us out of our body, up in the stars, another lovely place to be. But actually, in this reality here and now, we are on the earth. We are here. Yeah.
So yeah, we have to cultivate both ends, don't we? We have to cultivate the earth connection as well as the spiritual connection.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, and there's also beautiful ceremony you can do, sing to the waters, as well as make sure that you don't put any chemical stuff in it. There's both those two you can really easily do together. You can, you can make sure you use the right products at home. And then when you go out and you come to the waters and sing to the waters, bring the healing to the trees. I think those two go hand in hand and really should be natural to all people. And I hope it will go that way.
I really love the way Sadhu connected the dots with this form of respect and being humble towards nature, in a way that also your teachings, also your ceremonies create those places. I mean, if I think about a fruit feast that is done at the Goddess Conference on Sunday, it's such a beautiful moment. And if I look around, basically there's nothing. There's fruit there's people on the grass. That's what it is. And it is so beautiful, and it's so intense for all of us. So we can access incredible experiences without the need of extreme fabrications. And so in a way, she humbles us, reminding us that even just with sunlight and grass, she brings it, and we are blown away with, every time. I think it's the same for you. When you walk up the Tor and you're swept away by the wind, you're like, oh my goodness, this is like the most sacred thing ever. And it is, but at the same time, it's a place that's always there, and it's the wind that's always, blowing. So it's like it's nature saying, basically, that's just me. I mean, that's just what I am. It takes me nothing to be this fabulous. Well, it takes you, like a century to try to destroy me and to build horrible things that will, you will take decades to dismantle. So in a way, she's always serving, and she's always reminding us of her powers. And what fascinates me once again of this panel is that you all, in very different ways, are all bringing nuances of this. I think of the kindness that exudes from Marion's works, and then I look at Angie and the bee and the bees, and the way you woven this into spirituality in a way that it's unseen anywhere else. So it's like a very unique thing. And I work with Donna, and she's absolutely fiery about those things. And Sadhu, it's like his energy is so raw. It comes from the woods. Like when you hug him, it's like this hugging a tree in a way. It's so elemental. So my thing is are your spiritualities connected to nature in a way that you're like, okay, if I cannot change the world, I want to be an emanation of that change. I want to be a herald of that change in a way that's suitable for me. Does it work as a spiritualist?
For me, like the essence of my goddess spirituality is really remembering this kind of generative, providing nature of goddess in each moment, as all of the elements around me, as the natural world around me. And there's, in that, there's the possibility to be in a constant stream of consciousness of relationship with goddess, because she's always there in different expressions, even in a cityscape, the wind against your skin, or the rain on your head. Actually, just to remember that as an intersection, an interaction with goddess. And the more, for me, the more we can harness those moments of remembrance, those moments of, wow, I'm connected with something way bigger than my individual self here. This is where we start to weave the matrices of change in the world, and we start to remember our collective power. And actually, if we stand up together here, then we can make an even bigger change there. And which excites me.
Yeah. And I like also what you said, Andrea, about the fruit feast, because that, of course, is a ceremony of gratitude. It is very linked with Lammas, but it's the end of the Goddess Conference. And I think in my spirituality, I think what you said, that connection, for me, it is when I go out in nature, I get so moved by the beauty. And I feel such gratitude just for the smallest things. I always take pictures because everything is so beautiful. It's like, this flower is so beautiful. And what you said, Angie, is like, for me, it's gratitude, it's the seeing of beauty. But then it's like, just being in love. And there was this song of Seize the Day. The song is actually always makes me cry, that song. But in one of the lines, it says, if the earth was your lover, would you treat her that way? And I think that is, for me, it's like, if you really have that love connection with nature, with goddess, with Mother Nature, with Mother Earth, would you treat her like that? If that was your beloved, would you really treat it that way?
Yeah.
So for me, that's connection. That's, for me, that is the gratitude, the beauty, and then just the love, and just the love for it.
There's one thing that came to mind for me when you were sharing that, the beauty. So where I said before, I've just come back from Portugal, and the expanse of the ocean, looking at the horizon and watching the sun go down, that simple pleasure of doing that, and then seeing the stars come out, that took me back to being a child and blowing my mind literally about how much more there is than just here and just me, and how I am just a little cog in the wheel, or a little grain of sand in the whole of the universe. It's that, wow, this is amazing. So that connection to something so much bigger, again, is so humbling. And the divine, whatever expression you want to name it in, that this is just out of our hands. This is just here for us. This beautiful living ceremony we watch every day or
And
take
it's
for
a
granted.
spiritual experience, isn't it?
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And how blessed we are to see that every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would add to that as well, 100%. Gratitude is a kind of foundational practice of mine. And what I found is the more that we're grateful, even, as you say, Marion, for the tiniest flowers, if we are appreciative of everything that we see and everything we experience, what I found is that how generous that experience, how reciprocal that experience becomes, that the more gratitude and the more kind of love that we give to the earth and to Goddess, the more that we're just blown away by things that we are presented with, that we sometimes I can have the tiniest thought, is like, wouldn't it be nice if I had X, and it will show up. The more that we are in tune and the more that we are grateful, the more that lover relationship becomes really reciprocal. It's like, oh, you wanted it, here it is. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think what you're asking in the question, that you see it coming by, is like loving nature from afar. I think that is actually the answer. It's like when we're really close and we have a kin, we feel akin to nature. We are part of nature, so not from afar, but as close as possible, as close to your heart as possible. I think if we can have that for all people, they would not destroy it that way.
Yes.
If you feel this particular connection to the land, to the earth, there is a special place that this panel knows really well, where you can experience that this very summer in Glastonbury, Avalon. Join us this year for the 29th Glastonbury Goddess Conference, a joyful gathering of goddess-loving people, a 6 days in-person event in Glastonbury, Avalon, running from Tuesday 30th July to Sunday 4th August 2024, with the fringe events starting from Sunday 28th July. This year the theme, and we want to invite you to this great event, and this year's theme is Goddess of Healing. Marion, would you like to say a couple of words on the Goddess of Healing theme of this year?
On the Goddess of Healing, well, it is really about the healing of the wholeness. And I think what we talked about today is very much part of it. It's a healing, the healing of nature, the healing of our nature, the healing of our body, the healing of mind. It's all connected. The healing that comes from Goddess, comes through her nature, comes through her love, comes through her beauty. And I think if we can experience that this summer, and we can share that experience with each other, I think it's going to be beautiful healing experience.
It's going to be, and if you want to participate, if you cannot attend the whole week, and there are many options to participate, different tickets, day tickets, weekend tickets, please check out our website, goddessconference.com/shop, and there are many options for you to participate. Even if you're in town just for one day, just come over, pop up, and please enjoy one day with us in this healing journey. It's been a pleasure to have this wonderful panel with us today here, and I want to thank you, all of our audiences from YouTube, from the podcast, and live on Facebook with us today. We come back every week with a new talk, so please do follow us and spread the word around for these roundtables to bring awareness and exciting topics every week. I want to thank you, Marion Brigantia, for being here.
Bye.
G, thank you. Ādžu, thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.
And Donna, thank you very much again.
Thank you.
And also, happiest birthday to Marion and Ādžu, whose birthdays are on this week. Thank you very much for all of you for following us, and to the next roundtable. Bye.
Bye.
This is the Roundtable, a talk show brought to you by the Glastonbury Goddess Conference. In this circle, the priestesses of the ceremonial circle, the weavers of our annual gathering, talk about pivotal topics about our community, spirituality, and goddess.